Come on, guys. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's go.
"12 seconds later.
Oh, now you want to come back in? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the cat gardener. My name is Diana and I have a mini urban garden in St. Louis. Now normally I would be outside showing you the garden, but it's cold, it's dreary. Even my cats didn't really want to stay outside this morning. So I want to stay inside and be cozy, and we're going to make a cozy recipe today. So I'm going to take the tomatoes that I preserved from the summer. This was the first year that I scaled up my tomato production. I had 50 plants, so I had a lot of tomatoes to preserve at the end of the season. I wasn't sure how I would do it because it was my first year with so many tomatoes left. Normally I eat them all and there's nothing remaining, but I had to decide, did I want to learn how to can them or take a lazier approach? And I thought that canning seemed like too big of an endeavor. I took the lazy approach. I read about people who wash dry tomatoes and then just stick it in a bag like this and then put it in the freezer. And they say it's perfect for making pasta sauce. Like, it sounds weird to be using defrosted tomatoes, but if you're just making a pasta sauce out of it and you have to smash the tomatoes anyway, it doesn't really matter that it came out frozen. And speaking of defrosting, actually the nice thing about frozen tomatoes is that when they are defrosted, the peel of it comes off really easily. So it's really easy to deal with these tomatoes. So today we're going to make a tomato sauce, and then I'm going to show you how to make authentic Italian meatballs that will simmer in the velvety red sauce. So come with me to cook. So I have 3 pounds of frozen tomatoes here, and it's a combination of some marzano and large cherry tomatoes. We want to increase the amount of pulp we use for pasta sauce, so you don't want to use any tomatoes smaller than these. Otherwise, that's just going to give you a lot of seeds instead of a nice, smooth, velvety sauce in the end. So we're going to start by defrosting them at room temperature, or in the refrigerator is fine too. Don't be afraid of all this amount of water. It's full of flavor and we're going to use it all for the sauce. It just means that we'll simmer it a little bit longer if it's a bit too liquidy. So once defrosted completely, the skins will slide off just magically and very easily. So we want to remove all of the skins. I also like to remove that little nubbin at the top of the tomato, and I'll do it with a knife here just because it's a little bit slippery and hard for me to grab with my fingers. For the large tomatoes, you'll notice that they have a core that cherry tomatoes don't have. So for these guys, it's important not only to peel them, but also to remove the cores as well, because these cores are a little bit fibrous, a bit tough, and they don't make for a nice smooth sauce. After peeling every single tomato, now it's finally time to crush them all by hand. And I would say that at the end of all of this, I have about 3 to 4 cups of this tomato mixture, and we're going to get ready to make sauce with it. In a Dutch oven, we're going to heat up about 3 tablespoons worth of extra virgin olive oil. And we want to be careful not to heat it too high because you never want to burn olive oil. Then we're going to add 2 cloves of garlic to it, and you want to smash these garlics ahead of time and heat them up until they're golden. Add all of the crushed tomatoes to the pot and bring it to a simmer on medium heat. Go ahead and simmer this for about 45 minutes, being careful not to boil it. If you have a lot of liquid from the freezing process, then you may need to simmer it for longer. While the sauce cooks, I'm going to now turn my attention to the meatballs, and one ingredient is the breadcrumbs. So you can either use store-bought breadcrumbs, or in my case, I had some leftover homemade sourdough bread and I decided to pulverize it in a food processor and use that. Another ingredient to make the meatballs is the cheese. Specifically, we're going to use Parmigiano, so I'm grating about 6 tablespoons. And now we can finally assemble everything. So the base of it will be ground beef, and the best kind of beef for this is 80-20 because you don't want something that's very lean. We actually want some fattiness to this recipe so that it makes the meatballs very tender. We also need 2 eggs, 6 tablespoons of Parmigiano grated, 3 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Set aside 5 tablespoons of milk. We're going to use that milk to add to the mixture so that it homogenizes easily and it softens the meat. Don't add all of the milk all at once. Do a little bit at a time and just feel it out. If it feels dry to your hands, then add more. But if it feels okay and pretty softened, then go ahead and keep mixing until everything becomes homogenized and all of the ingredients are well incorporated. And now it's finally time to shape the meatballs, and we're aiming for a diameter of a little bit more than 1 inch. We don't want to go too big, otherwise it doesn't cook all the way through, and we don't want to make really tiny meatballs either. There's really no trick into shaping them. What's really nice about this recipe is that it sticks together really easily. So to make it into a ball, you just kind of pass it back and forth between your 2 palms, and that's really it. Before I put the meatballs in the sauce, I like to get rid of the garlic, and that's because I'm not a big garlic person. I don't like a very potent taste. I like a very subtle garlic flavor, so I like to just get rid of it before it gets too pungent in the sauce. To get that really nice, velvety, smooth texture of a pasta sauce, I like to use an immersion blender to puree everything. To finish off the sauce, it would be nice to have some basil, but it's not in season right now, and I was lazy and I didn't dry any of the basil growing in my garden this year, so we're just going to add some salt in the end, about 1 teaspoon. Now we can finally put the meatballs in the sauce, and when you do this, just make sure that there's a little bit of room in between each other, that they're not smushing against each other, but it will be snug in there because we do have 11 of these big meatballs to put into this little Dutch oven here. And now they're going to simmer away on low heat for the next 10 minutes with the lid on. After that, we're going to open the lid and we're going to turn all of these meatballs because now they need to cook on the other side. Just go ahead and use a spoon to turn all of them over. Actually, at this point, I like to kind of spoon a little bit of sauce onto every single one of them so that they don't dry out while they continue to cook. We'll do another round of cooking, lid on for another 5 minutes, low heat. For the final part of cooking, just take the lid off, turn the heat up to medium, and cook 5 more minutes. That allows the sauce to thicken up a little bit, and in the meantime, you can use a spoon to stir around the meatballs to make sure they're not getting stuck at the bottom. And that's all there is to it. I'll put the recipe down below. And by the way, I know in Italian American cuisine, meatballs are generally eaten on top of pasta, but in Italy, they're eaten by themselves as a second course. And if you want to add more flavor to them, feel free to grate more Parmigiano on top, and this creates the perfect soul-warming food for a cold winter night. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. I hope you make it. And if you like this video, please hit the like button down below. Please subscribe to my channel for updates, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, Luna. Hi, Luna.